the Vancouver Canucks and Jim Rutherford doing an interview, I want to say with the Province this week, and basically
Ian McIntyre, I think.
Was it Ian McIntyre? Okay, and I think he said, effectively everyone's available right now. And I saw you on Insider Trading. Dreg's talking about Elias Pettersson. And we had a conversation about him yesterday. And we had Ray on last hour, and Ray's obviously very close to the Canucks. And he said he's been playing fine. Like, he's been playing okay, but he's getting paid a lot of money to just play okay. And
11-6, yeah.
Yeah. Like, what would the market look like for him?
Thin.
I got to believe that. Yeah,
it has to be. I mean, cap space is everything, right? And so there's been whispers around. Look, I believe the Carolina Hurricanes, as an example, do still have interest in Elias Pettersson. They do. But they probably had more interest a year ago, 2 years ago would have had more interest. And what has to go back? Well, that's, for me, Vancouver wouldn't have interest in Jesperi Kotkaniemi. Why would you, right? I mean, at best, he's a third-line center. At best, even though they're still weak up the middle. He has 2 years remaining. But I think they'd be okay taking Kotkaniemi back from Carolina if Pettersson is going the other way, because he's a boatload of years and a ton of money remaining on that massive contract extension. So I think he's still going to be a tough sell.
Yeah, that's what's complicated, right, CJ? Like, he is, ever since Quinn Hughes left, it's basically him as the face of the franchise. Besser's been there for a while. Demko's still there. But it was Hughes, it was JT Miller, and it's been Pettersson. And the idea of having to look at it like we got to get out from underneath this as opposed to acquiring pieces, I think that's wise. I don't think people in Vancouver would want to hear that, but I think that's smart. Like, if you're going to launch into a rebuild and it's going to take you years, I think you got to start there. Like, you kind of got to get out from that contract and reset your books.
Right, but I think there's also still a little bit of a thought in the back of management's mind that if we trade this guy, he's going to pop somewhere else, that he's going to get back. And that doesn't mean you don't make the trade, but I think it's in their minds at least. Do we give him more runway to try to play a little better? Like, shine him up a little bit because, exactly what Dreg says is right now. I mean, this is probably as low as his value would ever have been as an NHL player, just because you've seen such a prolonged stretch where his production's been down. He still has all that money left on his deal. I do think that there's a bit of risk reward in there. But when I look at some of the teams that have made trades for centers, I mean, the flip side of this conversation is we'll go and tell you about all the teams in the league that want a center and can't find one. And, sometimes you have to take a bit of a risk. It wasn't an obvious choice when the Capitals traded for Pierre-Luc Dubois a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He was similarly not in a great spot. I know he's been injured this year, so it's maybe not a perfect comparison, but he was a big part of the success they had last year in Washington. And that was kind of a trade that maybe had some risk. There was a lot of money left on Dubois' contract, similar to what you see with Pettersson. And so, I think that the Canucks can wait, but you're right. I mean, look, if you're going to do the rebuild thing, there's a couple pieces that got to go. It's the short-term guys with UFA status, like a Sherwood, who we've talked about. And then obviously, I think a symbolic move would be moving on from Pettersson and really closing the chapter on that book of the last 5, 6, 7 years in Van.
Yeah, no kidding. Go ahead.
I would take a chance on him, as crazy as that sounds. Like, if I was,
I think I would too.
Like, I would just say this is going to make or break me from whatever team I'm working with, but it would be just so enticing to say, if I get him out of there, maybe a change of scenery. But man, if it doesn't work out and he's that same guy he kind of is right now or has been the last year,
you're not trading him twice.
Yeah.
You're not flipping him. He's not getting.
Exactly.
There's no market the second time.